Okay, I was going to talk about this so-called 5D, 3D Earth split, bifurcation, they call it. Um, because Aaron Dowdy on YouTube has got a lecture, fresh today, and my compatriot Quimby always likes me to do my talk before I listen to other people talk about these subjects so that I'm not contaminated or brainwashed by what they say. I'm already brainwashed, Quimby, because I've already heard a lot of these things about 3D Earth and 5D Earth and a big separation. Some commentators said it's people's higher selves that decide whether people are going to stay in 3D Earth or 5D Earth. 5D, as you will recall, is the fifth dimension. And the only thing I can give you, if you go on YouTube and go and find the song The Age of Aquarius by the band, The Fifth Dimension, from about 1969, listen to that and you'll get an idea what 5D is all about. 3D is basically the Vietnam War. In other words, it's endless wars, endless bickering, endless fighting, endless killing, endless murders. It's horrible, horrible. So the insanity is someone, whatever this higher self is, decides whether someone is going to wake up to 5D, peace and harmony, or be stuck in the mire. The next thing I want to talk about is an old teaching from, oh dear, my tea is boiling. One moment, please. Okay, I got my tea. So I was going to tell you a story about one of the I Am teachers from Peter Mount Shasta, who in his book talked about how the ascended masters organized his life to give him the wisdom teachings that he needed. And one of the things that came along the way was the opportunity to go and retire into a log cabin deep in the forest, away from other people. This is my trout hat, and I'm still wearing David Letterman for sports. See, let's see. So anyway, it turned out that the Ascended Masters didn't want Peter Mount Shasta to go and live in the log cabin in the forest in the idyllic setting they just didn't. So what does that mean? We are supposed to be here with other humans. My friends, the cosmic characters, call these human things relationships. You know, because our relationships with other people are often so shitty. So, but that's what, the people who organize planet Earth want us to do, to have relationships with other people. So we can get frustrated, pissed off, punch each other in the nose, etc., etc. Screw around. Everything that goes on planet Earth is about relationships. So I'm just going to leave it at that. You're not meant to go on planet Earth and live an idyllic lifestyle out in the forest. Why? Because there's no personal growth in it. Apparently, living off the grid by yourself or with a small group is not what they want you to do. They want you to get. Most of us are supposed to be living in cities, which a long time ago, one of my friends that I was golfing with said, "This afternoon I'm going down to the shitty." We were out in a rural area and playing golf. And he didn't call it the city. We're going down to the shitty. So, and once again, relationships and the shitty. This is the way we are supposed to be here on planet Earth. We are not supposed to live any other way but in the shit, in the mire. Now, perhaps that leads us into this old idea that on planet Earth, it's basically the only place you can get enlightened in the whole universe, planet Earth. It doesn't make any sense, does it? The story is that the symbol of enlightenment is the lotus, which is a flower that grows in the water and it's rooted in the mud. And the mud is basically the same thing as the shit. So if you're going to become enlightened, you have to come to shit planet Earth, and deal with all the shitty people in the shitties, with your relationships, so that you can become enlightened. Now, give me a moment. Okay, so, okay, here we have my teapot. Okay, I got a teapot here, and this is beautiful Japanese tea that came all the way from Japan. Okay, and this Japanese tea is symbolic of Zen. Okay, this is Zen, whatever's in this pot. And if you want some Zen, well, I'm going to have some Zen. And let's see what happens. Okay. So, how's this going to work? Okay, this is, I'm going to have to give it away. Okay, so my cup already has tea in it. I've screwed this up. I don't know how they do this properly. Anyway, okay, so this is Zen, but my teacup is already got tea in it. Now, normally when this demonstration works properly, I screwed it up. I'm terribly sorry. I'm terribly sorry. But the whole point of it is, okay, so this is us. This teacup here, because our minds are full of this kind of tea already. And this is Zen. Okay, this teapot is full of Zen. Okay, that's Zen. Now, unfortunately, I should have used two different kinds of tea. If you're going to do this demonstration properly, I should have used dark black tea here and like light tea here, so they look like two different kinds of tea. I've screwed this up terribly. The whole point of the matter is, what happens is if I'm going to give you Zen, but you've already got a full cup of tea. And then what they do is they go, all right, here's your Zen. The point of the matter is, if you want to get Zen, you have to take everything that you've got in your existing teacup and pour it out. Pour it out. And then, when you've got an empty teacup, then you can have a cup of tea, of Zen tea. So the thing is, you cannot add Zen to what you already have in you. If you want to learn Zen, you can't hold on to everything you've got, because then what happens is this. It's, the tea goes all over the place because there's no room for the Zen. God, I wish I knew how to do this demonstration properly. But the point of it is it's a comedy channel and, we just take it as it comes. So anyway, that is the key. If you want to have Zen, you have to throw away all your brainwashing. What's the brainwashing? Everything you learned from your parents, your friends, your schools, television, movies, everything. You have to throw it all away because it is, well, some people say it's a spiritual teaching. I hate labels. But it is definitely higher consciousness. So if you're going to get to higher consciousness, you can't drag lower consciousness with you. Now, back to the lecture that I was going to watch about the separation of humans, some staying in the 3D world and some going to the fifth dimension, the 5D world. If you're going to go to the 5D world, you have to throw away all your old tea, whatever's in your cup. Throw it all away. That represents everything you know, because it ain't gonna get you. You can't drag it with it's baggage. It's like dragging a huge steamer trunk. In the old days when they traveled by steamship, the Queen Mary would go from England to New York, and you would bring a huge trunk full of clothes and all your stuff. And that's what it's like. If you're in 3D, you've got a huge trunk of 3D stuff. I don't mean like clothes and things that are like three-dimensional objects. It's three-dimensional, I was going to say thinking, yes. Three-dimensional ideas about how society functions. Everything that you're brainwashed into. How can I put it any more than it's all the shit that you've got, the mud, the shit, everything that is just garbage. So in order to get to 5D, you got to get rid of it. And that is why they always say, if you want to progress into higher consciousness, it's all about letting go. And what are you letting go of? All the garbage. And what's garbage? Well, the question is, people always say, well, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Yes, throw the baby out with the bathwater. Don't bring anything at all from your old way of doing things into 5D. Someone said to me, that's repugnant. I'm sorry. Because at lower levels of consciousness, the way things are done, the money economy, taking all kinds of prescription medications for your health, let's leave it at those two as examples. All of these kind of things are not 5D. Booking appointments for the next 2 weeks so that you can visit your clients, that's 3D. You cannot bring that into 5D. Another one of my people that I watch on YouTube said he is one of the very few masters who give back to their students. And I went, wow, this guy's got it. Because there is so many people out there offering courses and, this, that, and the next thing, where they're taking from students. They're taking money from their students. A fifth dimensional master is not going to take money from you. They're not going to charge you money. It's not going to be traditional, you're going to a classroom or you're going to do an online course. No. If you've got somebody that, I mean, they're always advertising on the internet or wherever, mostly on the internet, or, word of mouth. Landmark is one that I heard last week again. They charge you a fortune, and then they want on the break, on your coffee break, they said, "Now I want you to call 10 of your friends and tell them about Landmark and get them signed up. I want 10 new names to come back in here because we got so much important stuff that's got to get propagated out there. It's your duty to drag their asses in here." Stay the fuck away from Landmark and anybody else that is doing this kind of thing. This is not higher consciousness. This is 3D bullshit. I don't know. There's nothing else I can tell you. Avoid that stuff. Avoid it, avoid it, avoid it. In the end, would you like a cup of tea? My teacup's got a rose in it. If you're going to get to the rose, I've got a jet fighter flying over. That's most likely F-18. Why did a jet just fly over when I'm talking about the rose? I think it's about beauty. Beauty. A rose is a beautiful thing. Someone says it's innocuous. You can look at it, you can smell it. It does have thorns on the stem. What about a fighter? Well, it's all about aggression. Is it beautiful? What's more beautiful, a biplane or a jet fighter? Common sense would say, I don't know what it would say. I'm never going to be able to explain it to you. A jet fighter is. It is. Right now, in our world, a jet fighter is. So are roses. In this now moment, I got a teacup with a rose picture in it, and I got a fighter plane. And I can hear a helicopter in the distance. How does it all relate to Zen? In the famous fishing movie, A River Runs Through It, it's all about being away from the madding crowd, not living in a city, in a rural estate in Montana, where, well, and then the boy gets sent off to World War I and gets shot by a machine gun, and the aftermath. So they go back and they're still trout fishing. What is the Enlightenment story of a river runs through it? The symbology of a river is kind of symbolic of a lifetime. The war is it cannot be put into words. It's a story. And can enlightenment be put into words? Because that's what Zen is. They usually say Zen is for short, but it means Zen enlightenment. Higher consciousness. What is the higher consciousness? It's interesting because it's not available. You could have a lot of English teachers or film studies teachers do their talk on A River Runs Through It. And they'll probably talk about the human condition. The Ascended Master that I talked to through a trance channel said human life is basically like the beginnings of a Charles Dickens novel. Charles Dickens was most famous for the story A Christmas Carol that plays every Christmas with Scrooge. I don't think it was that story. It was another one of his stories. But it begins, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. And Sananda said, that's your lives, folks. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. Is my teacup half full or half empty? Would a rose by any other name smell as sweet? I am your interesting person, question mark. Have a lovely day. That's what they say when you finish a business transaction. Have a great day. Have a great day. See ya. You know what I mean? Have a great day. Hi, how are you? You know, give me a handshake. There you go. I have to tell you, whatever bullshit is going on with 3D egoic people, it's all staying in the 3D version of planet Earth. In the 5D version of planet Earth, I gotta have more, 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 more. I have to have a little less, 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 less. It's not what an English teacher would say is a non sequitur, which is Latin. It means it makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to Chief Wiggum of The Simpsons. I don't think Chief Wiggum can ever get Zen. But if you watch The Simpsons, and there's part of the show where Chief Wiggum is driving around in his car, if he comes out of the car and he smiles at you, and it's Bart Simpson and some of his friends, and he goes, "Hi, kids." If you're in the moment with Chief Wiggum, that's Zen. Because it just is. And it's not that that's just the way he is. It's just in that moment, that's what it is. So it is what it is? Because the problem with it is what it is means, well, if it sucks, it sucks. And if it's a whoop-de-doo, it's a whoop-de-doo. I have to tell you, it's basically always Zen. So in other words, everyone you walk around, when you walk around and you see a bunch of people, are the people Zen masters? A baby is a Zen master, yes. A baby is a comical thing. Unbelievably beautiful thing to watch, babies. Adult humans, are they Zen? If you're going into the used car dealership and you're buying a car, is it Zen? I'm never going to be able to figure it out. I think most people would say the car dealership, no. He's a car salesman. He's wearing the car salesman personality mask over whatever he is. And so when you go in there and you're, being used, in other words, he just wants your money and he wants to get rid of this rusting old Hulk out of his car lot. That's not Zen. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. If you, the observer, are in the moment, fully present here now, it's Zen. Which implies if your mind is doing 10 different things, it's not Zen? Question mark. The reality game is it's Zen. It is. It is what it is. It is what it is. And as far as this teaching about, if you're going to learn Zen, you got to, dump out your tea. You gotta dump out your tea so you can have a cup of Zen. What does a Zen master do differently with his cup of Zen tea than, your neighbor who's an iron worker or something? Most people, when they take a teaching on some philosophy, it's a lot of book learning, a lot of lectures before you finally get it. Because the mind spins around, it's got a zillion questions, zillions of questions. And you go home at night time and you get more questions. And you got to, get up in the middle of the night and get on your computer or your smartphone and send an email to your Zen teacher. What about this? What about that? So a monkey mind, a mind that's constantly spinning around like a monkey, is that a Zen master? A Zen master will experience monkey mind, question mark. Yes. But the difference is that the Zen master sees it, sees monkey mind going on, laughs at it probably. Did they get annoyed with it? Yes. And I think that's why they go to Zen monasteries, to get away from it all. Because the monkey mind of the average human, when you watch them do their thing, the monkey mind of Chief Wiggum, it's Zen because it is what it is. But it's not saying that Chief Wiggum can't become a Zen master. Is he going to act any differently if he's a Zen master doing his job as police chief of Springfield? He might. He might. It's basically your conditioning that has to be let go of. I got to follow everything by the book. Got to do it by the book. But you have to know the book first before you can decide whether you're going to throw the book at somebody or, throw away the book. It could be experience. How are you going to get Zen mind? I don't know, my neighbor is singing. They've been into the suds, the beers. It can't be taught, question mark. Yes, it can. It can be taught. Who's going to teach it to you? Can you learn it from babies? Can you go to Japan to a Zen monastery and learn it? Can you read it from a book? Can you get it by meditating? Sure, you can do all those things to get Zen. When do you know if you're a Zen master? You'll know when you know.